Hi, I'm Peter Ilgenfritz, and I'm the interim pastor here at the Congregational Church of Boothbay Harbor. And this is our bi-weekly In These Times, weekly encouraging word. And with me today is Alice Much to talk about what she's been up to during this pandemic. Alice, it's so great to have you here today. And tell me, what have you been up to during the pandemic?
Well, like everyone, it's struggling to learn more about themselves during this quiet time in our lives, and sometimes chaotic. I've been using my art to sustain my soul.
And can you tell us that, did you do all of these during these last 15, 16 weeks?
I did not, Peter. I did all but 2 of them during this time and more. But I did 2 before the pandemic, and much of the theme about this art is, as I said, expressing myself and learning how to dig deeper into my soul. And before the pandemic, I had some pretty severe losses that I wanted to paint about, and so I painted 2 pictures here that I'd like to share with you. The first one is a very fun picture. This picture was painted for a gentleman who was a member of our congregation, Walter Scott, and Scotty, during the process of his dying, had an imaginary girlfriend, and this is Roxy, his imaginary girlfriend. So it brought many laughs and smiles to Scotty and to all the staff over at St. Andrews. The picture to my left, your right, is a picture done for Scotty's daughter, who was his caretaker and who died pretty much from the stress-related illnesses in the process of caring for her father. And so this is a picture of a lighthouse and looking off into eternity. She knew she was dying, and I thought it would be a beautiful picture to send her on her way.
Wow. I love how you used art as a way to, to reflect on, to contemplate, to work with the grief in your life. And what difference has that made that you've done art to respond to grief?
Well, it makes me a happier person and a more grounded person. And some of the art here talks about that. If I could, I'd just like to tell you about the 2 pictures closest to Peter. They represent my heritage, and the picture on the left of the banks reminds me of where I spent my summers growing up with my family in Nova Scotia, where the values are very strong and similar to the values here in our city, our town, excuse me. And so I painted that to try to remember some of the things I learned when I was young growing up in Nova Scotia. The picture to the far left, next to Peter, is a picture of Loch Awe, A-W-E, I believe it is, in Scotland. And both Andy and I, my husband and I, come from Scotland in terms of our heritage, and we took our grandchildren there this last year, right before the virus hit. And I painted that picture from one morning staying at a farm with the kids.
Wow. Had you painted before?
No, I actually got a C in art in high school.
Wow. And when did you start painting again?
Just about the time that Scotty got ill, I think, I started taking classes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about your other paintings.
Well, this painting here, we'll do this chronologically. This painting here is atop of Cadillac Mountain, where a new life, a new chapter, and a new life began for me, and that was when my sweet husband Andy asked me to marry him. And that sort of represents the the horizon and the joy and the color and the fulfillment that I experience in my marriage with Andy most of the time. This picture next to Peter, maybe Peter can point to it.
This one here?
Yes, is a picture about the ground. And grounding is so important in our lives. And I found that little setting right outside my front door, and I looked at the rock and I looked at the oyster shell and the beautiful flowers, and I thought, this makes me feel as though I'm connected to the earth. And so that's why I painted that. And then the other two here are of Hendricks Head Beach, the two in the middle and next to Peter. And I painted those because for me, getting out of the house and going somewhere, I found that one of the most peaceful places for me to go was Hendricks Head Beach. In fact, Andy and I, if I may share this, had a wonderful spiritual conversation with Peter sitting at Hendricks Head Beach with a wind of about 40 miles an hour. It was a short conversation. But those are both of Hendricks Head Beach. And then last of all, this is kind of the fun part. We know that we've got to have fun during this time. Peter, isn't that so? And so I painted a lobster who's waving at you right now, and I hope you like him.
Alice, these are fabulous.
Thank you.
One of the pieces I've been talking a lot about with our congregation in this interim time in our church is a biblical story about Jesus with his friends there at the Sea of Galilee. And he says, let's go to the other side. And so they get in their little boats, they go out into the lake, and a big storm comes up. And Jesus calms the storm, and his companions go on, and they indeed sail to the other side of the lake, where there is a great discovery that changes their lives. And Alice painted for me a few weeks ago then this picture of Jesus' boat. Isn't that right?
That's right. It's called Jesus' Boat, and it was found in the Sea of Galilee around 1985 when there was a drought, and they found the archaeological findings or remnants of Jesus' boat.
Huh.
And
well, Alice, this time is changing, has changed all of us.
yes.
And I've just been so inspired by how you've responded to all of this time by making art and making beauty and sharing it. And how has this time and doing art changed you?
Well, you mentioned some means of change. I want to mention that you have been a very big change agent in our lives of late. And the conversations we've had and the people that you ask questions of, I think it's been very helpful for us to be able to look within ourselves and reach deeply and find gentleness and calm. So I think the art has done that for me, along with friends who are realizing that there's more to them than having 10 plates spinning in the air and being busy. So being able to just calm down and focus on something that relates to your inner soul is, I think, very helpful to me.
I love that you've used art as a way to connect to your soul, and in that I hear it's a prayer practice for you.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
And that's beautiful. And also, I love, Alice, that as you said, just because you got a C in art didn't make you say, "Well, I am not an artist." And I can't paint, because I just love, as you know, I love your art. Because it sparkles, it shines, it sings, it's so different, it's fun, and it's healing. And
Wow.
so thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, and thank the church.
Yeah. So may Alice be inspiration for you and for me to respond to the challenges of these days and make something of beauty, to tell a story with it and to share it with each other. And may that be strength and hope and encouragement in these days, as Alice is, and as the sharing of her art is with us.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, Alice.